Live right on time too. All right, so there's a good chance that all those nice things I said about you were not actually recorded. So that's great. So no one knows all the things I said about Chris, which was so nice. And I won't go into them now because I don't want to waste anybody's time. But I'll sum. I want them to steal you, right? He's mine. Get your own, Chris. This Chris is spoken for. So yeah. So anyways, this is Chris Walters who'll be helping me out, and I was just teasing because I did not hit the go live button. So you didn't train me that well, Chris. This is my first time. This is my first time doing a live stream. I'm trying to use the OBS software to stream our Discord chat onto YouTube. So although that's probably basic for most kindergartners, I'm now at the age range where technology is starting to be more complicated than I was able to do. Anyways, we are here today for Spiel Digital, which will be going on all weekend. We'll be doing a number of chats and videos today with Chris and I showing off some games, and then with some of the designers and some of the artists involved in the inside of games productions. Today, this video right now, we're talking about Seven Souls quickly, and we'll do a little teach on how to play using Tabletopia Online. And then actually just after this talk, we will have one with Resap Gwyn, who is the amazing artist who gave us this amazingly beautiful game we have here. Really, really happy with all his work and how it turned out. And he is also another fantastic individual, which I seem to surround myself by fantastic people, as are being as is being showed right now in our Discord channel, as I have ambassadors around the world who are teaching games for us because they're wonderful people. So quick shout out to Lean, who's currently teaching a game, and Hoot, who's on standby, ready to help anyone who needs it. And then we'll have Christina and Adil and a bunch of others dropping in throughout the con. So stop in, say hi, give us a chat, and play a game if you'd like. They're all free to play on Tabletopia. So without further ado, or more mumbling on my part, I'm going to switch my screen over to the Seven Souls. And here we go. Let's see how well it works. All right, preparing to launch. So this is, I guess in the future, I will have launched it first and then save people watching my loading screen. But learning opportunity for me and them. Here we go. So this is what would happen normally if you just logged on to Tabletopia and wanted to try out the game. This would come up for you to see as it loads what you need. You can use either Tabletopia on your web browser, or you can use it through the Steam app. Oh, that's right, but only some games. It's weird. More games used to be available on the mobile app, but then I think they changed their system basically for how it works. So here we go. All right, so I'm going, and you know what's going to happen? Actually, that's working there on the stream. Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure my stream is still actually working, which is good. Oh, perfect. And you're watching the questions there. I see that you've already commented, so that's perfect. So then I'm going to leave that closed so I can just focus on the game. Oh, hey, wait a second. Oh, but I'm not actually watching. So yeah. Oh, I bet you it's Jeremy because he said he was going to watch. I hope he's enjoying his coffee. Jeremy runs our Discord channel for us. This is fantastic. All right. So anyways, let's jump right into this and stop boring people. So this is Seven Souls. As you can see from the glorious board, Reese, who we're going to be chatting with, did an amazing job for the artwork on the board and all the cards and everything you can see in the game. So I'll just try to do a quick-ish teach to give you an idea, kind of a layout of how the game works, what we're going to be doing. Basically, the game can be played from 1 to 6 players. So what Chris has done here is he has preset the game for the 3-player count. The reason that matters is if you look on the board here, and the physical version as well, can I actually move there? There is a number at the top here and a number at the bottom here. And those numbers will tell you how to preset the board for your player count. So for example, 1 to 3 player game, you'd be putting 10 soul tokens here, or in a 4 to 6 player game, you'd be putting 13. So that helps you during the setup process. And that's preset in Tabletopia for you. So this will all be ready to rock and roll. So in the game, Chris and I will be competing using the same 7 characters. Ooh, look how they're nicely laid out. So these he's so good. These same 7 characters, or 7 souls, will be sent to the 3 locations that we have in our lovely Lovecraftian town. the Miskatonic University, the Watley Manor, and the ancient ruins. And at those locations, they will be gathering resources for us to gain strength and power and hopefully reign supreme over our friends. What those resources are, I'll explain. Those are these three piles here. And it is important to note that each of these locations and the resources powering them are, if you can imagine, little columns. So they reside in each of those locations. So for example, you can find more souls over here at the ancient ruin, where you'll find more resolve and corruption at the university. And then you'd gain some power, mostly power, at the Watley Manor. So to look at our cards really quickly, we have, and you know what I'll do is I'll zoom in and I'll set some angles. So on Tabletopia, if you want, you can hit the Shift 1 key, and that's going to lock this camera angle in for me there. And then the Shift 2 key can lock my camera angle in here to make it easy for me to jump back and forth. So nice. Good idea. So here we have the 7 souls that we're going to be manipulating in the game. The important thing to note is that all characters do in fact have the same 7 characters that we're fighting over, which makes the game interesting, as you can see as Chris dragged his into his hand. But you can see from over here, this player has the same. The only way to tell them apart is of course from the card backs for easy sorting, and from the icons in the top left. So you can use the spacebar to zoom into your cards and look at the beautiful artwork. So in numerical order, from fastest to resolve to slowest to resolve, we have the number 1 card. So right here, there are 5 different options on the side. And the reason why I say you have options is that each of the action is surrounded with this lovely, cute little squiggle line that shows that you could do one of the 5. Whereas if I was to go to the number 2 character, for example, you'll see that 1 icon is surrounded, then 2 icons, and then 1. So he has 3 different options on what they can do. And if you go up to the number 7 character, there's just 1 option, but triggers multiple things. So the corrupt citizen will go later in turn order, but will have more resources and options gained during their turn. So what do these different icons mean? Well, for simplicity's sake, I will drag over the number 1 character onto the board, and then I'll explain to you, using my number 2 to jump to this view, what they do. So if I was to send my character, this soul, over here to the Watley Manor, when he resolved, I would get one of these 5 actions. Now the top one is blue, and that's power. And you'd gain one of these power tokens, and they are very straightforward, just a power token. Those would be used for powering up your resolve when attacking each other, trying to corrupt the investigators, or defending yourself from their attack. They can also be used to purchase altars during the game, and the altars have their point value in the upper left and their cost in the lower right. So again, those are just straight up victory points you can purchase during the game. Option number 2 on this card are soul tokens. Now soul tokens are randomly distributed to each of the locations at the start of the game, but they do have numbers on their reverse. So for example, this one here is a number 1, and the majority of them are. There are some number 2s and some with a value of 0. So you obviously want to avoid those ones there. The next option is the purple corruption or resolve, and that's this deck of cards here, as you can see by it matching the iconography. These cards, corruption cards, are going to be what players use to attack each other, and Chris laid some out for me down here. So at the start of the game, all players will have 4 of these failure cards. These are failure because they have 0 purple eyes on them. They have none of them. So that is a failure when it comes to attacks, for attacking each other or the investigators. This one here has 1 eyeball on it, so it's 1 success. Now let's see if I'm lucky at all. Oh, I am. There is a double right on the bottom of the stack, so you could also draw these. Now it's important to note that during the play of the game, you will be drawing cards and adding them to your deck that you're fighting with. These cards that you draw from within the locations only have positives, so they'll only have single and double successes. They will not have any of the horrors or failures. Those are up here in the top left corner. And now that I've said that, you can see that on this card I also have the horror failure option, and that would mean that I would simply get to take one of these cards from the stack and give it to any other player at the table, therefore making their deck weaker. Lastly on this card is the green option, which is to corrupt investigators. That means that you would use your turn to attempt to attack any one of these 3 investigators. Now you can only attack the investigator in the location that that character's in. So I could attack her if I was here, or him if I was here, or him if I was over here. Now the way that works is you will reference that card, and on the bottom right there is their strength. So for example, this character here, I would need 4 successes of those purple eyes in up to 5 cards that I've flipped from my deck. Now if I can do that, if I can get those 4 successes, then I will corrupt this investigator and I'll actually take him and put him into my supply. So I have that, which gains me 5 victory points at the end of the game. So these are quite valuable and important to focus on during the game. Now if I was over here, however, she's quite a bit stronger in that I would need 5 successes and I only have 4 tries. Now the way that works, we'll be using these corruption decks that we have. At the start of the game, everyone has the makeup of the same cards. So they have 4 failures and they have 1 success. During the game, players are always allowed to check their deck and to see what it's comprised of. So what their chances of success or failure is during the game. After looking at their deck, every time they'll have to shuffle their cards so that it's nice and fair for everyone. And then during the game, they'll be drafting these better cards into their hand, and maybe other players will be playing the failures into their hand as well to make them weaker. So let's say that I wanted to attempt to corrupt this investigator at the top. Then I will get to flip up to those 4 cards shown. So what I would simply do is I'd draw a card off the top of my deck and I'd flip it over. So in this case, getting a failure. No surprise because I only have 1 success in my starting hand. The option is each time you do that, you may add 0, 1, or 2 power if you have them from your supply to the flip. So in this case, let's say that I added a power here and I flipped a card. Well, that was amazingly lucky. I actually got a success. This is a perfect teach. So what ends up happening is my success counts as 1 and my power counts as an additional. So I've actually got 2 successes towards the 5 that I need. Now we all know that these are just failures remaining. So I've actually played this through, I will be failing what I'm trying to do here, but that's no surprise. But it's important to note that that is how power works. It allows you to add to each card flip you make, and that is true for everything in the entire game, whether you're fighting each other or whether you're fighting the investigator or defending yourself. You can always add that power. So that's very simply how the main mechanic of placing the characters work in the game. Chris and I will place a couple hands here quickly just to kind of show you how that is going to play into the game. But I'll cover a couple other things quickly as well because there are some important things to note if you're going to play the game without watching our demo. So the other thing you're going to want to do is you can shift, click and drag to select all those characters and drag them into your hand. So now you'll see on my screen that I have all of, oops, and I've even picked up Yellow's card by accident, so I'll just return that over there. There you go, Yellow. So I have my 7 souls in my hand here, ready to rock and roll. Now, the one thing that makes Tabletopia a little bit more interesting is in the actual game when you're playing with a physical copy, you would start each round by taking the top card from the Investigator deck and putting it to the bottom. You can do that with the Shift key on Tabletopia, and that will put that card on the bottom. Now, when I've done that, it potentially could change the icon on the back of the Investigator cards. These are the Investigator cards. So this tells me which Investigator will be attacking at the end of the round. This shows the key, which is ghosted on the board, and that means that the Watley Manor will be the one attacking at the end of the round. Now, if I go up here, this here will show that this investigator will be attacking, and up here in the top right corner, we show that who he will be targeting. In this case, whoever is later in turn order. So the higher number will get put to the back of the stack. Because what I haven't said yet is what makes the game a little bit of fun is that once this card is put to the bottom, players will be drawing cards from their hand and assigning them to the 3 locations in any order and as fast as they want. Once all the players playing have done that, those cards are then reordered for the value on the card. All right, and that will matter because of potential ties. So what I'll do quickly now is I will take these cards back into my hand, so we'll get ready to play. After we've resolved each of the location, and a resolve is just the characters taking their turn and gaining their resources, we'll do that each of the 3 locations. The investigators will attack, as we'll show you, and then the characters that we'll use will be put aside for the next round. You'll draw from the remaining, or select from the remaining characters in your hand to play the second round. At the end of that round, those characters go to the side, and the characters that were resting will come back into your hand. A couple other things which I'm going to point out quickly now are how these blessings work and the revelation cards, as we've already talked about the altars here. Now these blessing cards have the red star back, and there are 6 of them in the game, but we will only be using 3 during the game that we're playing now for our player count. It is important to note that you're only allowed to get 1 of these for each player. How these work are that these are actually just awards. So for example, the orange one here, once I have 11 points on the soul tokens, then I could claim this card, getting myself an extra 3 points. Or if I buy an altar, then I would get myself an extra 2 points. So maybe I rush to get an altar quickly to try to secure myself these 2 points. Or if I can corrupt 2 investigator, I will get these 3 points here. Again, these are just given to you as an award for doing well. You get a blessing from the ancient ones. The altars are purchased, as I mentioned. And then lastly, we have these beautiful, and I'm actually just going to show them all because I love them so much, revelation cards. Now these cards here will be shuffled and then dealt out 2 to each player. I want to hide my hand. There's a way to do that. Is it H? It's not H. I don't remember how to hide my hand now. But anyways, up here you'll see the different Lovecraftian monsters in the game. And again, I just love the art that Reese did. So you could buy this game just to have these beautiful art pieces if you wanted. What these are secret objectives for endgame scoring. So you'll see patterns or icons being repeated. So for example, here we have the yellow, yellow, green, green, purple, purple, blue, blue. That's very straightforward because what these will do is this, for example, means have the least number of soul tokens at the end of the game, whereas this is have the most soul tokens at the end of the game. This guy here, have the least, the color from space. Have the least number of investigators or the most investigators. And that's repeated. Least power, most corruption, least corruption. These ones are fun. Least amount of fear in your resolve deck, corruption deck, most amount of fear. So there is actually some double bluffing you can do in the game where you might give yourself a failure card so players think that you have this card and they might not give you any further failure. These 2 here kind of break the previous rules that I talked about. Well, this one doesn't. This one just means that if you haven't bought any altars during the game, you'll get yourself 3 extra points. You can kind of ignore the altars. Whereas this one says you can actually get a second altar. And I didn't explain how that works, but basically what you would do is on your turn, you would pay the power needed by the altar. You would take that altar into your supply, but then you'd have to replace it with the currently activating character or the character that is in your hand. That's how that works there. So we have these 12 options here. I will quickly flip this over, and then I will clean them up, shuffle them, and then I'll deal Chris and us each 2 cards. A little shuffle. You can use the right mouse button to open up this option wheel. Here I have the deal. Well, I do try. I do try. So we each have 2 cards in our hand now, which, I mean, Chris is watching the live stream, so he'll know what mine are. But normally your players wouldn't know. Perfect. I actually held my hand over the screen as if that would have done anything. So I will take these extra resolve card, revelation cards. I'll just ditch them off to the side here because those will not be needed in the game. Chris and I are going to look at our 2 options, and I am actually going to pick, you know what, I'll pick this one because I don't usually pick that one, the other one. So I'll do that to mix things up a little bit. So now we each have our secret objective, which the other players don't know about. That will only be revealed at the end of the game to possibly see if we have those points. And everything else is already preset for us, which is very nice. So Chris and I can literally just start playing the game, and I've already taken the top card from the deck, the investigator deck, and put it on the bottom. So Chris and I both know that this investigator here will be attacking whoever the higher number is. So for fun, I am going to say, all right, on the count of 3, we can start dropping cards. One last note which I will make is that you can draw cards out of your hand in Tabletopia. Use the F key to flip them upside down, but the other other players will not see your card. They'll only see your hand with a card holding icon. So they won't see it until it's dropped onto the table like that. So I'll pick it back up, and I'll be ready to go. So Chris, get your cards ready, and on the count of 3, we'll start dropping them. Ready? So 1, 2, 3. So we're both messing with each other. I'm going to do this, flip that one, And then I'm going to do this. Put this here. Oh, I did that wrong. See, I already made a mistake, and you are totally allowed to take your card back into your hand if you would like. But what ends up happening is I'm going to lose my turn placement. So that's fine. Let's do this instead. Exactly. All right, so I should zoom in a little bit so it's not as hard for everyone to see. I used to know what the key was to hide your cards in your hand. Hide interface? Ooh, I don't know, that sounds dangerous. All right, so I'll ignore that for now. We'll just keep playing. So once all players, is it H? It's not working for me. Oh, if you hover over them, it won't work. Okay, there you go. Don't hover over them at the same time. So once all players, in this case just the two of us, have put our characters at each of the locations, these characters will flip in the order they were played. So in this case, Chris was faster than I was. So his card goes here, and then my card flips here. Now in this case, it's not going to matter because I've played a 5 and he played a 4. So his 4 is simply going to activate before my 5. Now, if I want to draw this back up, and let's say that I had in fact played a 4 just like Chris had, well in this case he would be activating before me because, well I've explained this, I've lied because of the order I played in. And technically I actually played my card before you because my card was down first. So in this case I would actually get to resolve before Chris. So this is a lot easier to do in the physical version of the game when cards don't pull through each other. You would just flip that entire stack over and you would see that my card was on top of Chris's card because I played it first. In Tabletopia, the decks automatically reflip to the order they're laid, which kind of makes proving this point difficult. But we'll ignore what I've just tried to show you for now as we continue with the game and I hide that stuff. So in this example, Chris is going to get to activate first. Now his character shows that he can take a power, a soul token, and a corruption card. So he's going to get to do that now. And as you can see, he's already doing it, reaching over and adding those things to, what are you doing? Oh, he's clever, which is totally a legal play. That's right, before every single fight if you want. Yeah, exactly. So that's a very good point. And that's one thing that's, again, easier with the physical game is you just draw them into your hand like you would normally and then shuffle them into your deck. Here it's one extra step where my character here, I get 3 of the corruption cards. So I will actually do the same as Chris. I will draw them into my hand so I can have a quick peek of what these cards are. And then I can add them to my corruption deck as well. So I'm going to shift click to drag all 3 out at once. And again, he can't see them, so I'm going to drop them into my deck, and then I have to give my deck a shuffle. So now I know that my deck's actually got quite a bit better. I only had 1 success and 4 failures. Now I have what you guys saw and those same 4 failures. So I'm getting stronger as we go. Now those 2 areas have already resolved. So we're going to go to the next location. And again, oh, you're not being heard in the YouTube, in the live stream. Oh, because we are streaming. Oh, this is good to know. Okay, so we're streaming the screen, but I need to figure out how to stream your audio as well. Ah, good to know. Okay, so Chris, so, so Chris will, no one else but I can hear Chris for this video. So our lovely banter is not going to be working on this video here, but that's good to know. So I will try to repeat what Chris is saying until I can figure out how to actually fix that audio mode, which is good. All right, I'm not clever enough on OBS yet, but I will figure it out. Thank you to whoever pointed that out to us. And here we go. We will continue with our play. And we'll flip over these cards. Again, in this order, in this case here, Chris was faster than me because he was on the bottom, so he would come to the front of the line. But he played a lower number, a higher number than me, so he's slower in turn order. Come on, Tabletopia. You're going to glitch on me now, are you? Okay, anyways, we can still see what they are. So I'm going to get to go first because I'm red, and I can either take 2 power tokens, or I can take 1 soul token and give a failure. And you know what, for now, I think I'd actually prefer to take the power. So I'm going to draw 1, 2 power, put them into my supply, and then my turn is done. And Chris is going to take 3 of the corruption cards, and he's likely going to look at them. Ooh, look how good he is. And then he's going to draw them into his hand, have a peek, and then shuffle them into his deck as well. I wonder why my hand just came back there. That location is already finished resolving, which is nice and fast. So we'll go here. Now in this case, I was slower. Chris, I'm going to the back. And here we have it here. Chris is going to go first. Now he has 3 different options, but I did not say this. On the first round of the game, you are not allowed to use the Corrupt Investigator action. So you can actually only take Soul, a Soul token, or you can take 2 Corruption cards. Let's see what he does. 2 Corruption, oh, 2 Corruption cards. All right, so he's doing that. And then as my action, I get to take 2 power. That's why they're up here. And this extra icon with the target around it means I get to steal 1 power from another player. So I'll take 2 from the board. 1, 2, and then I will get to steal 1 like this from Chris. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power. Now it is my turn, but I don't have enough power yet to purchase either. Well, I could purchase this one, but I don't want to yet because I have a different plan that I'm working on right here. So we'll hide that. These 3 locations have all resolved. We will check for the investigator attack. If we go in here, oh, I don't want to take those. If we zoom in here, we see that the manor is attacking, and this investigator is going after the latest in turn order, which is Chris. So to attack, this investigator wants to take away 1 power and 1 of your corruption cards from the top of your deck when he attacks you. Now Chris is going to have 1 chance to defend himself from this attack, and to keep it easier, I'll bring it down here so players can see, and I'll zoom in on what Chris has done. So I heard him shuffle, you guys couldn't hear that, but he shuffled his deck, and he's drawn 1 card off the top. He's also decided to add 1 power to his flip, so he's going to try to bolster this attack or defense. Oh, and he did it! So 1 success, 2 successes, so he's blocked both of these attacks. The investigator gets nothing from Chris. Now there's 2 important things to note. The first, which you can see, is Chris is cleaning up his cards and his power, because in this game, when you use it, you lose it. So his deck got slightly weaker as he spent the energy defending himself from this attack. Now, if Chris hadn't used that extra power up, he would have only had 1 success, in which case he could have blocked either one of these. He would have had to give the other back to that investigator. So let's say that he didn't use the power. Well, he'd have had to have taken that power and placed it on this investigator, or taken the top card from his deck and placed it with that investigator as well. What that means is at a later turn, if a player corrupted this investigator, they would also gain any resources on that character. But Chris defended himself just fine, so I will return his card to his deck. Now, as I mentioned, these guys and girls are all going to go off to rest, so I'll put them over here, and I'll let Chris organize those while I zoom back into the board. And remember, the start of each round is the same. We take the top card off the stack. I can use the shift key to put it to the bottom of the stack. This shows us that the ancient ruins will be the place activating this round. And this gentleman there shows us that, again, he is actually going to be going after the later in turn order. So we want to watch out and be careful what card we're putting here. Now we also have to be careful, because if we ever put the same number at a location, it's going to trigger a duel or a fight for control of that character. So I'll open up my hand again. I only have 4 options to choose from this round, as does Chris, because our other guys are resting off to the side here. So let's get ready to think what we want to do. And I have a secret plan and clever trick. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to say, on the count of 3, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put that guy there. And we can each put guys out as we see fit. And I'll put this guy there. So let's see if my clever plan actually worked, and I'll hide my hand. Now all the players at the table have placed their guys, so we'll resolve the location. So the game plays nice and fast, which is good. and it's even easier in real life when you're not doing it all with a screen. And I would take this card. I was slower than Chris. I go to the back. Chris comes in front, but because he's a 6, we are reordered for that value. Now, just for fun, we're going to make these two match and duel for a fight, just to teach for the learning experience. But we'll continue. Not yet, not yet. Get out of here. Get out of here. Look how eager he is. No fights. That was lucky. We're playing strategic. So here, I get to go first. Now, of all these 3 options, what I'm actually going to choose to do is I'm going to be mean, and I'm going to use my give a failure option. I'm going to put that failure into Chris's deck to hopefully weaken him for any plans he may have this round. But Chris gets his turn. As you can see, he's doing it. He is gaining 2 power, and then he's going to be stealing a power from me, which is unfortunate for my plans. Again, as a note for anyone just watching now, you would not pre-flip these cards. We just did that looking for ties. These would normally all be face down, like so. But we're at our second location, and here we go. So I'm actually, can I change my cards? I can't. So we can't fight at either location, can we? No, we have all different numbers. Well, we'll play one more round, and we'll see if a fight happens next round. So if I look at this location here, Chris gets to go first, and he has 2 options, gaining 2 power, or gaining a soul token, which again is victory points for endgame, and giving me a failure. He's taking the power. Okay, after he's done that, I get 1 of each, 1 power, 1 soul token, and 1 corruption card. So I'll zoom out, and then I will take my 1 power. I'll take my 1 soul token into my hand, so I can, oh, my hand's hidden, so I can't. Put it into my hand, and I'll take my 1 corruption card into my hand, so I can see what its value is. I want to see what this value is. Okay, so I know what that is. And I'll put this into my deck, and then I'll give my deck a shuffle because I've looked at the top card by doing that. Now we go to our final location for the round. I'm going to flip over Chris's card. He was slower than me, than my card, but the number here shows that he is going to resolve before me. Darn it! He's going to attempt to corrupt this investigator, which I was trying to as well. I should have sent my number 1 there, but I sent my number 2 like a sucker. So he's going to attempt to corrupt this investigator. To do that, he needs to get 4 successes and up to 5 tries. Now, I'll bring him down here again just for the teaching opportunity. I've seen and heard that Chris has already shuffled his deck, and he's going to add power to his first flip. So he has to decide that before flipping the card, obviously. So let's see if he can do it. So that is a failure. So that means that power was wasted. His first try of up to 5 tries was no good. Is he using power? He is. Okay, so there we go. So that means he has 2 successes and 2 tries because he threw out his 1 fear already. Now for new players, I'd recommend leaving the cards visible for everybody, so that way you can keep track of how many turns you've taken. He's adding power to his 3rd. Ooh, another failure. This is good for me, bad for him. So here what he's played 1, 2, 3 tries, and again, he has up to 5 tries. He needs 2 more successes. Can he do it? He does. So 1, 2. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. Only the power on the successful cards count. The power he used on his failures do not. Now all these cards and all that power is going to be discarded into this little cleanup bag here, or back into the game box if this was a normal game that you were playing. I'll let Chris clean those up, and then Chris actually gets to then keep this investigator in his supply because he's corrupted him, and he's gained 5 victory points for the end of the game. What's happened though is we actually now have an investigator missing at this location. When that happens, a new investigator is immediately dispatched to that location. So I will take the top investigator from the deck, I will flip it over, and we will drop it here on the game. So this guy is a little bit stronger than the last one, which worries me because I was going to fight with him. So Chris's turn is over. He used the corrupt investigator action. I am also going to use the corrupt investigator action to try to take out this guy here. Although if I don't, it could attack Chris. See, maybe I don't, because if I don't right now, the attack changed to the earliest in turn order. So right now it would go after Chris. The question is, do I want to avoid those 6 beautiful points? I don't. I'm going to go after this investigator as well. So I will drag him down again just to make it easier for all players to see. I will give my deck a quick shuffle. So I need 4 successes and up to 4 flips. I have a fair number of successes in here, so I'm going to try to add a power to my first flip as well. Good. I'm not going to add it for my second flip just because I'm going to pretend Like I know what I'm doing and I'm hoping it's a fail. Damn it, it's a success. So now I've got 3. It doesn't make sense for me to add power again to a card because if it's a failure, it's a loss, and if it's a success, it's a win anyways. So let's see. Oh no. Oh, this is bad. I should have added that power. So I really want the success right now. If this is a failure, I've wasted it. Oh, yay. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 successes out of 4 tries. I've corrupted this investigator, and I've spent all those cards. Now, as you can see, it's not great that I'm losing all of these successes, but it is nice that I'm able to get rid of any failures in my deck as well. And that'll matter, you'll see, especially for when we do a tie next round, if that happens. But before the round is over, this investigator spot does need to be filled immediately. So I'll flip it over and put a new guy there. And this actually is the same. It shows me that he will be attacking the bottom of the line. So in this case here, it shows that it is going after Chris because he's the last one. So Chris is going to... Oh, as Chris just pointed out, he saved himself. Nuts! The location has changed. So I forgot to look at this quickly, and this changed to the key, which means that this location is not, in fact, going to be triggering right now. The Watley Manor will be triggering, and this investigator is going after later in the deck, which is me, of course. So unfortunately, thematically, I just corrupted this guy, so his friend is now coming after me over here at the Watley Manor. So he wants a soul and a card off of my deck, and for teaching purposes, I'm going to choose not to use a power. I'm just going to flip a card and see what happens. A success. So I've blocked one of his 2. I've got a fair bit of failures in my deck right now, so I'm going to give up 1 card to that investigator. To do that, I can drag it into my hand first because it's the top card of your deck. I'm going to have a peek at what it is. Okay, now I know what that is. I'm going to put it back up here, and whoever wins, corrupts that investigator later in the game will also get my corruption card here. So he's gotten that away from me. These 3 locations are all done, so we'll place these off to the side where Chris can organize, and nicely Chris has already organized these stacks for me. So at the end of that round, we will draw up the cards that he's previously organized, so I'll get those 3 cards back into my hand like this, and we will be ready for the 3rd round of the game. So having a quick peek at what my plan is. Nuts. I'm not playing well. Apparently teaching, talking, and streaming is not my strong suit yet. So I gotta... Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna prep the 3rd round. So to do that, again, I take the top card off the deck, I hold the shift key to go to the bottom, and we see that the Manor is attacking again, and this Manor shows that he is going after later in turn order. So we're gonna get on the count of 3, we're all gonna pick a card to go somewhere, and I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, he beat me by seconds. All right, and then I'm going to put you know what? Let's do this. Oh, that was a bad play again. I should have done that in a different order. Let's do this and take this guy out and put him here. Okay, there we go. So I think, yeah, we have people at each location, so we are ready for the 3rd round. I'll hide my hand, get it out of the way, and I'll zoom in. So let's hope there's a friggin' tie sooner or later. Okay, so that's me. I was slower. I picked the 5. And over here, oh, dynamite. Chris picked the 5 as well. So we have a tie. We are fighting for control of this poor man's brain. Well, I guess he's not a poor man. He's fine and he's evil, so he deserves it. We're fighting for control, and there's a chance only one of us may get to actually resolve this character. So the way this is going to work is that we are now competing against each other. So Chris's deck against my deck. And we each only get to flip 1 card in defense of this character's control. Before doing that, we can add power like usual, so 0, 1, or 2 power. Now because, oh sorry, Chris, you beat me there. I did not organize these properly. Because Chris beat me to this location, that is important. So not only would he resolve first and potentially get resources from a location that was running low, but because I was slower, in a fight situation, I have to decide first if I want to add power to my attack or not. So he will have advanced knowledge of whether he might want to add power or not. So there is the advantage of getting your card there before someone else. He's got 7 cards. I don't remember the makeup of his cards. I think he's got a fair bit of failures as well. But I'm going to add 1 power just in case to my flip. And I'll get my card ready here. Now, Chris, are you going to add your 1 power, or are you going to withhold your power? He's withholding his power. Oh, no, he's adding it. Okay. So we're going to flip on the count of 3. And again, this power only adds to successes. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's actually perfect for the teach, but crappy for me. So in this case, Chris's 2 successes beats my 0 successes. So that power is thrown out of the game. My fear is thrown out, so my deck gets a little bit stronger. This part makes the game interesting. Chris will get to activate the character, and I will not, because he beat me out for control. But I get the card that beat me. So his deck got weaker, and my deck got stronger. So that will help come back to haunt him in future, I hope. He's taken his 3 cards, he's looked at them, and he's putting them into his deck already. And again, I will not get to activate this turn. We go to the second location. This character, that was me, I was slower, so Chris goes in front. And it stays that way because his 2 will activate before my 3. So Chris can either get 1 soul token, 2 corruption cards, or try to fight this investigator. It's up to him. What's he going to do? He's humming, for those of you who can't hear his audio, as he thinks about, he penses, which is a good French word. Sorry, the bilingual is slipping out. All right, so he decided to take 1 victory point token instead. So we just did that. I'm up here. I will also take 1 victory point token. I'll put it in my hand for a quick peek. Okay, and I'll put it back on the table. And then as the second part of my action, I also get to give a failure. So I'm going to give another failure to Chris because he beat me up in the last round. Now we go over here to round, or the 3rd location. I was slower yet again because I moved mine last minute. Chris will resolve in front of me. Oh, and it matters again. Here we go, because he was faster than me getting there. So I will have to decide first if I want to use power in this. Now I just gave him a failure, and he's got a lot of cards, and he just picked up some more successes on his first turn. All right, well, you know what? I want some revenge, so I'm going to use 2 power because he doesn't have any, but I'm worried he may have picked up one of those double successes that we saw in the deck. So let's see. I'll give my deck a shuffle just for fun, and I'll draw a card over. All right, sir, here we go. 1, 2, 3, flip. Yes, so my 3 beats his 1. He will discard his card and these 2 power, but then he gets my card into his deck of cards. So again, in this case, he evened out. He came out the same as going in, whereas I just got weaker using all that power and that corruption card. But I will get to activate my turn. In this case, I am getting 1 power, 2 victory point tokens, and I give a failure. So 1 power, 2 victory point tokens, which I'll have a quick peek at my hand what they are. Let's see. Okay, and then I'll put those in my little stash. And last but not least, I will give a failure to Chris here. Haha, enjoy. So that is how you play 7 souls. What will basically happen is we'll continue this procedure of playing cards. You know what? We should finish with the investigator attack. I should do this properly. So again, the location is attack. It's going after me again. Come on. So we look at the back of the card. It shows the key. The key is ghosted on the board. It shows that this investigator, he's been fighting a lot, is coming after me because I'm later in turn order, as shown by the icons up here. And he wants 1 power or 1 card. So I am going to, I don't want to keep using my power, and I'm running out of cards, but I'm going to, oh boy. So I will use 1 power and a card. Okay, 2, so I've blocked his 2 attack. These 2 are now discarded out of the game. Chris is going to do that for me, and I've defended myself from this attack. So these cards would go off to the side. They would rest. We would draw back the cards that were resting, and then we would flip over the top card from the bottom of the stack. Now, this will continue throughout the game until any one location, so this one, or this one, is empty of 2 or more resource pools. So as soon as let's say this deck was gone and Chris pulled the last power out of this bowl down here, then this would trigger the end of the game. You would still finish the round, all locations would finish, the investigators would still attack, and then players would simply add up their scores. They would add up the scores from any blessings they had earned during the game, from any altars they may have bought during the game, from each soul token that's in front, that's in their pile. So these would all be flipped over and their values added up. Added to this value, to this value, this. So I have 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 2 is 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then the other thing being is everyone would show the revelation card. In this case, I did a silly idea. I bought the altar, whereas I could have got 3 points by not buying an altar. So that's what I was trying not to do during the game. So that one's there. So you'd add up all those points. So again, from the revelation card, the blessing, the altar, the investigators you've corrupted, and then the points here. Whoever has the most points wins the game. I will flip back to it here, just so you see Chris and I's lovely face at the end, although you can't hear Chris talking at all, which is too bad. So thank you so much for watching. That was 7 Souls on Tabletopia. Again, the artwork is just as beautiful in person as it is in the actual game. And if you tune back in about 14 minutes from now, I will be going live with another live stream talking to Reese, the artist of the game. And we'll be chatting about 7 Souls, what he did, how he was inspired, and how much fun I had working with him. So that's that. And in the 14 minutes that ensued, I'm going to try to figure out a way to make sure you guys can hear Reese's audio because you can hear Chris's. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm now going to end the stream and try to figure